Good morning, Galaxians, and welcome to another live edition of the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and I remembered the little graphic this time, and I'm going to be your host as we talk about all things reselling. Today, we're really going to focus, at least at the beginning, on the changes that have been occurring over at Mercari. They announced some things, a pretty big one on Monday, and then had a subsequent announcement yesterday. So we're going to cover both of those. You may have already seen this, but we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into what's going on and some of the things we have been discussing over the, whatever it's been, 7 or 8 months since their original announcement of fee changes. So that's kind of the plan for today. Let me start off over here in the chat. Mary McQuain, good morning. Christy, hello. Thank you for coming out. Paper Gold, good morning. Good to see you. Big Dre is in the house. Good morning. Thanks for coming out. So let's just jump right in to this bit of kind of reselling news. I'll even play the clip.
News updates.
So Mercari announced on Monday changes to their fee structure, and this is something that people have been talking about for quite some time. I'm going to read you, just go through their announcement, and I'll give you my bullet points, as I always do as we go through this. So they announced, Dear Mercari community, our goal has always been to deliver the value you deserve, whether you buy or sell on Mercari. We went back to the drawing board and thought about the value you deserve and have an important update to share with you. We're rolling out a new fee structure starting January 6th, 2025. This change comes after listening to your feedback and recognizing the need to make an adjustment based on the benefits you expect from Mercari. Obviously, there was a lot of pushback on the fee changes. As you recall, back in March, they went fee-free for sellers and moved those fees over to the buyers, and neither party seemed particularly impressed with how that whole thing was working. They continue, when we initially introduced our current fee structure in March, our aim was to make selling more accessible to sellers. However, while sellers got to keep 100% of their sales proceeds, sellers experienced fewer sales because items were less affordable for buyers, which indicates to me that a majority of sellers there did not take advantage of the opportunity to lower their prices to account for those fees. They must have left their prices there, or even with having lowered the prices, buyers were still getting sticker shock when they got to the checkout and saw all of these additional fees. So again, even if by market standards, the item, even with the additional fees was priced correctly to market, if you compared it to an item on eBay or Etsy, people psychologically were having a problem with those fees and they were not making purchases. We realized our current fee structure underserved buyers wasn't helping sellers sell more and ultimately negatively impacted Mercari and our community by reducing overall transactions on the marketplace. The new fee structure addresses those concerns. You can let me know in the chat whether you agree with that. The new fee structure, in light of the above, to help ensure you get the value you deserve, we are reintroducing a selling fee and lowering the buying fee. Sellers will pay a flat 10% selling fee, which was what the selling fee was previously, and buyers will pay a flat 3.6% buyer protection fee. This has become very popular across a lot of sites to call what, for my money, is essentially the payment processing fee, to call it a buyer protection fee, and to offer all the services they were already offering, but now to charge for them. Again, you can let me know in the chat whether I'm off base on that, but that's my take on it. How it works: for sellers, a flat 10% selling fee applies to the completed item price and buyer paid shipping. They are removing the ACH direct deposit fee for successful withdrawal transactions, but they are limiting you to one ACH direct deposit per day. For more information on seller protection, there is a link in this article. So a lot of sellers were very disappointed in having to pay the $2 fee to get their money out of Mercari. I understand, and we talked about it previously, why Mercari did that, to try to keep the money on the site. But there are so many people who are selling to raise money for other things, whether it's because it's their job like it is for me, or whether they're just trying to pay for Christmas or a vacation. They don't want the money left on there. And despite the fact that the selling fees had gone away, they felt this $2 fee was a bridge too far. I did have a seller that commented yesterday that she's got an $8 credit on Mercari that's been there for quite some time because she doesn't want to pay the $2 fee to get her $8, which makes total sense. That's 25% of the money she's owed. Now, if she just waits until after January 6th, she'll be able to get her money without that fee. For buyers, a flat 3.6 buyer protection fee applies to the completed item price and buyer paid shipping. The buyer protection fee reflects the following: a cancellation and refund policy, returns on qualifying items, 24/7 customer support. You can let me know in the chat what your experience with that has been. Mine has not personally been good. And trusted transaction. They note there is no additional payment processing fee. Again, for my money, that's essentially what this buyer fee is at this point. They're just calling it something else. That may be reading more into it than what it is, but that's my take on it. For more on buyer protection, there is another link. The new fee structure applies to new and updated listings starting on January 6th, 2025, and may take up to 1 week to reflect automatically across all listings. When they rolled out that change back in May, they gave that same warning that it may take a little bit of time to roll out across all your listings. In my case, even with 9,000 listings, it appeared to be instantaneous. All my listings were on the new program day one. So you can let me know what your experience is with that. To support this transition, later this month, you can choose to increase your listing prices in bulk so you can earn the same amount. So like they did when they removed the fees back in March and you had an opportunity to do a one-time bulk discount of your price, now you'll have a one-time bulk increase of your price if you choose to do that. I probably will not. My traffic and my sales over on Mercari continue to run at about 4% of my overall business. This week has been pretty good. It's been 2 or 3 transactions, but it's not a significant number, and I'm just going to leave the price lower and see if I can capitalize on these changes. Our commitment to the community, along with the new fee structure update, here's what you can expect from us going forward. For sellers, designed to help sellers succeed, we're committed to empowering you with the tools you need to help you thrive on the marketplace. With Mercari, listing items is a breeze right from your smartphone. We match you to the buyer that's right for you across the nation, providing you with the best selling opportunities. Once you make a sale, we simplify the process with convenient shipping options like printable labels. Side note, they had a problem yesterday with their label generation system. It was down a good portion of the day. Saw a lot of posts, people not able to print labels or getting messages that they might need to reprint labels. So while that is true, I also think in a lot of cases they're more expensive than if you shipped yourself. Again, let me know in the chat what you think of that. After the buyer confirms delivery, we help make sure you get paid promptly. Moving forward, we will continue to improve your selling experience, whether you're just casually decluttering or building a full-fledged side hustle. I know a lot of sellers are still, I've seen a couple of comments recently that the 3-day post-delivery hold on your funds, if you're shipping something clear across country, you may be waiting 8, 9, 10 days from the time you receive the order to actually get your money. For sellers, professional sellers where cash flow is a big deal, that's a long time. I understand why they do it that way, but that is a long, long time. So if I could give a tip to Mercari, they might want to figure something out with that. For buyers, you can discover deals from sellers you trust. We're committed to helping you find exactly what you're looking for a price that fits your budget. Shop confidently with reliable sellers nationwide to help ensure trusted transactions. We hold your payment until your item is delivered and the order is rated. We also actively monitor for prohibited items and behavior. We are also committed to providing a marketplace that is easy and reliable to use, regardless of which side of the transaction you're on. We will take proactive steps to build a more trusted marketplace. If something goes wrong with the transaction, our customer support team is available 24/7 through the Mercari app or website. We also provide phone support Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I've never been able to get anybody on the phone at Mercari, and my last experience with their help through the website was I think it was a 96-hour response time. So not anywhere close to 24/7. You can let me know again what your experience has been, but mine was not that great. Thank you for being a member of the Mercari community. We hope this update and our commitment reinforce our dedication to creating a trusted and easy to use marketplace designed around your feedback and needs. Much love, Team Mercari. So this is something I've been talking about on this channel actually for quite some time, that going to a kind of a split the baby model, if you will, where kind of like what Depop has done. One party paid for part of the transaction fee and the other party paid the other part. Probably was the way they were going to go, and ultimately that is what they've decided to do. I don't know. I said on a Facebook group when they announced this that there's a certain part of me that feels like this is rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. There has been so much reputational damage done. This is going to be a pretty significant hole, I think, for Mercari to dig their way out of. Hopefully they can do it. Again, as I said in Monday's episode, I like the fact that that platform exists. Even at the 10% fee, it's going to be more profitable for me than selling on eBay. So I hope they can make it a go, but I'm not completely convinced. We'll see. A lot of changes coming. As we reported a couple of weeks ago, the Japanese CEO, the original founder of the company, is taking over the U.S. division, also coming in January. So big changes coming there. One other thing I do want to highlight, one of my big concerns with this program, this change, was the announcement of it and the fact that it was not going into effect until after the holidays. So when they made the change back in March, it was almost instantaneous. I want to say they announced it on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday, boom, it was in force. And it happened almost immediately. The problem that I had initially with this was that it was going to miss the window of an opportunity to sell things prior to Christmas. Now, it's pretty short. We're already starting to bump up against some shipping deadlines, but they did announce 7 days of savings. They are waiving the buyer service fee from today through, I believe it's through the 17th. So buyers will still pay the transaction fee, but they won't pay any the payment transaction, the payment processing fee, but not a service fee. 7 days of savings, 0% service fee on us. How does it work? Unwrap a week of holiday savings with our best deal of the season starting December 11th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Enjoy 7 days of 0% service fee and dive into a treasure trove of amazing deals across all categories from trusted sellers. Payment processing fee, buyer paid shipping costs, and taxes, of course, are still applicable. Here's how it works. Find your item, buy it now, we'll take care of the rest. To improve the likelihood of your items arriving by December 25th, we recommend placing your orders by December 13th. Take advantage of this special week to find great deals and save on service fee. Don't miss out. The offer expires December 18th at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. So that is good news. That's something that they definitely needed to do to try to entice some people to make purchases now on the site. So there's a ton of stuff here in the chat. So let me pop back over here and let's get into this. I'm going to make this screen bigger because I cannot see it at all. My bifocals are not working particularly well, apparently. Mary McQueen, been looking forward to this. I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear that. Let me see here. Now I can't see the other thing. I'm going to move this back down. It's rough getting old. Rough. Let's see here. We've got Mel Flipset. Good morning, everyone. Rick Prennett. Good morning. Thanks for coming by. Brandon, Media Picker. Hello. Sissy Moore. Good morning. Mary McQueen says, my Mercari has picked up a little bit, but it was rough for a while. I was glad I added Poshmark around March. And as we talk about pretty regularly, I feel like doing the cross listing, having multiple sites that you sell on is super important. It makes a big difference in your overall business, especially when one site or another starts to have some problems. This gives you another outlet to kind of make some money. So congratulations for adding Posh to your mix. I've recently, as I've been talking about, added Whatnot, and that continues to be an interesting experience. Christy says, definitely just seems like an underhanded way to raise fees while making it look like they're doing everyone a favor. Yeah, to be fair, the total amount of fees, unlike when Poshmark made their change, hasn't changed. It's been in this kind of 13.5% range, even when it was all paid originally by the seller. I feel like all of these platforms are just kind of throwing darts, trying to find something that works, um, that will hopefully increase both sellers and buyers. And clearly, they've not found it yet. And they continue to try different things. This show, we have made multiple suggestions on things that they could try to do, and this was one of them. So credit to them. We'll see how long this lasts. Mel Flips it says, "I'm definitely happy to get my money without paying $2." Yeah, absolutely. Again, it was to a point where I was waiting until I had. Initially, it was $200, but sales have been so slow over there. I was capping it at 100 and just paying the $2 to get my money. But hopefully, things will pick up. Mary McQuain says, "It seems to me they would have that without paying for it. I'm thinking they just don't want the sellers to go from zero to all. Who knows? They may change it again to only seller fees." That is a possibility. I don't know. This split the difference deal, especially after having had it all on buyers, might work. My biggest concern really is you've had so many people that have left the platform, both buyers and sellers. It's going to be very difficult to lure those people back with what essentially works out to the same net total fee as someone just said a moment ago. There's no, what's the incentive? As a seller, I'm going from 0 to 10%. Maybe there'll be a few more sales, but I've seen several sellers that say they are, if they haven't already left, they're probably leaving as part of their plan going into 2025. Because it's just not generating enough business. And this has the potential to be a really, really bad downward spiral for Mercari. I hope it's not, but it's a mess. And unfortunately, a lot of it is a mess of their own making. Christy says, "I wonder if that bulk increase will affect the amount you can promote, as there will be a lower previous price, which is what the promotion is based on, if I understand that correctly." That's interesting. I don't know. I would assume they'll detach that from the offer piece. But as we talked about in Monday's episode, the offer thing continues to be a sore point for sellers, because while they have supposedly removed the cap on the number of them that you can send out, they have changed the math a couple of weeks ago. They were not allowing discounts less than 20 or 30%. Now the dollar amount that they're recommending does not match up with the 10% minimum discount. So if you're just blasting through offers, you may be making offers that are way, way lower than you expect to. So that continues to be a problem as well. Mary McQuain says, "I lowered everything by 10% when the fees were taken away, but I'm like you, I will probably just leave my prices alone this time." Oh my gosh, I know. It was hours before I could print talking about the shipping thing yesterday. My feed was full of people not able to ship. I don't use their shipping labels. I got a notification on an order I received yesterday that I might need to reprint it. I had already shipped the thing through Pirate Ship without any difficulty. So Den Decordipo, good morning. Mercari is a mess today. I haven't been on it yet today. I didn't have an order over there overnight, so I had no reason to sign in this morning. Mary McQuain says, "Oh, but the cuts didn't affect support, right?" That's what we were told, as you recall. And I've talked about that before as well. When they have technical issues, which all sites have from time to time, it does seem like it's taking them longer than it did previously to fix them. I don't have any statistical proof of that. It's all anecdotal. It's just my take on it. But it feels like the big layoffs that they did back in the spring have definitely had an impact, both on their technical support internally and on the ability for them to provide the customer support they now claim they're going to provide for both buyers and sellers. Brandon Media Picker, "Buyers paying fees to pay on their platform is still going to piss them off. Sales may improve slightly, but I think it's too little too late for Mercari." It may very well be. Again, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about I'm a 3%, 4%, 3.5%, whatever it is, 3.6. I'd rather not. I've always been of the belief that those fees are part of the cost of doing business for sellers, for businesses. Credit card processing. When I had my CD store, credit card processing cost me a percentage of my sales plus a swipe fee every time I did one, and I wasn't one that passed that off. In fact, at the time I was doing it, it was a violation of the credit card terms of service to offer a lower price for cash and a higher price for a credit card transaction. Now, we've seen a lot of places are doing that. My little donut shop charges an extra, I think, 5% if you're going to pay with a credit card or a debit card for your morning fix of donuts. So a lot of companies are doing that. So people are becoming a little bit more accustomed to it. But I'm with you as a buyer. Shipping and tax, maybe. And I know some people even think shipping is a bridge too far. As a seller, that's one that I'm just not willing to eat anymore because of the constant changes of those prices. But I did see somebody that posted on a thread about this over on Facebook that they felt like Mercari and these platforms should be eating that payment processing fee themselves. It's their business. We're making the sale, but that should be kind of their contribution to this thing. Let me know what you think of that. I'd be totally down with that. Mary McQueen says, I was happy to see this yesterday, although I had bought something 2 days ago. Of course, that's the other thing, and that was the thing Poshmark ran into. When they reversed course on theirs, there were a lot of buyers that were squawking about what are you going to do for us? We paid the fee, and now the fee has gone away. If we would just had waited a couple of days, and that was again the concern with this being delayed until after the holidays. They make this announcement, and it's right on the website that starting in January, your fees are going to be reduced. Why would I buy now? So to their credit, like the next day, they introduced this service fee-free 10 or week of shopping to help squash that. It's going to cost them a ton of money, obviously, but I think it's the right thing to do. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what backlash, if any, there are from people who have bought over the last, month or so heading into Christmas. It's a significant amount of money. If you've bought a larger ticket item and you've paid the 10% plus the 3.6% on a $100 item, that's a big chunk that you're out. Den Decor Depot says, at Media Picker, agreed doing this full time. I'm okay taking the fees on for a write-off. Absolutely. It's part of the cost of doing business. It's part of my expense structure. It's just how I run my business. It's always been that way. Again, would I rather the fees were lower? Heck yeah, I would. That's why I like Mercari. That's why I like Etsy. The fees are lower. I'm paying, on average, less fees on either of those sites than I am on eBay. Unfortunately, eBay is 80% of my sales volume, both by transactions and by dollar amount. So I'm kind of stuck, as are we all. But there you go. Mel Flips, it says, Media Picker, I hope you are wrong. I don't want it to go down. Also, they can remove the buyer fee in general, I guess. I do make sales on Mercari. It's like I said, it's picked up a little bit. It's not been great. It's not really been noticeably worse for me since the change, because most of my sales over there are in the sub $20 category anyway. But yeah, I hope the platform is able to find a way to make a go of it. I know their goal was just to break even, and they're way, way, way off of that goal. Hopefully the new CEO can make some changes. They can change the culture and the marketing and overcome this kind of self-inflicted wound that's been allowed to kind of fester since March, and make a recovery. I'm rooting for. If you're listening, Mercari, I'm rooting for you. Rick Pennant, I'll be surprised if there's still a viable platform by this time next year. It's unfortunate. Yeah, this next 6 to 8 months, for my money, is going to be really, really crucial for them. I give them credit, I guess, to some extent. They stuck with it to try to make this thing work, and maybe we're too stubborn about it. Poshmark obviously reacted very quickly to it not working for them and made a change. Mercari gave it an ample amount of time. It was one of the things I was really concerned about when they made the change back in March. The banner was no seller fees ever. And I was like, are you sure you want to say that? Because if you have to undo this at some point, you're going to have a problem. And here we are. Sal's Mercado, good morning. Thanks for coming out, my friend. Carla Kopic, hello. Hi there, everybody. Den Decor Depot, I can see Etsy buying Mercari. To be honest, they love these types of projects. They've done a couple of those in the past. They bought that LO7 in, I think it's Brazil. They own Reverb. They bought Depop. I'm not sure how it fits into kind of their, whatever vintage handcrafted thing. But yeah, I can see them maybe seeing some value there. I know Mercari has said they're not interested in selling, but they might be interested in partnering with someone. I don't know what that looks like. But yeah, as I said, this next 6 or 8 months, very interesting. Mel flips it. Also, I saw something that said Mercari has a cross lister. Does anyone use it? I know Brandon Media Picker, I believe, has tried to use it with mixed results. It's essentially like a spreadsheet download type thing. It's not nearly as seamless as something like List Perfectly or Vindu. Media Picker, if you're still here, let us know in the chat what you thought of it. I know I'm reasonably sure it was you that tried to use it. Den Decor Tipo, as if on cue, the Mercari cross lister is very limited, max of 200 items, I think. And again, there were a lot of talk from quote unquote professional sellers, full-time sellers, that Mercari has a tremendous amount of things that are just not ready for prime time for big volume sellers. And to be fair, that was never their intention. I know when they initially came out, they were pretty rough on people that they identified as being resellers. That's not what they wanted there. They quickly realized, of course, the only way to make money was to have us on there because we're the ones with all the stuff. I've got 9,000 plus listings over there. If they want merchandise, they've got to find a way to better accommodate full-time sellers, whether that's through changes in fees or technical changes, mechanical changes in how the site operates, like things like this. That's where the bulk of the merchandise on the site is going to come from. I know their initial goal was just mom and pop stuff left over from the garage sale, but that is, to me, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that's the ticket to long-term success for one of these platforms. Gretchen says, does Mercari let you paste tracking number if you ship on your own? Yes, they do. They actually force you to do that when you do ship on your own. There'll be a link that you click that says you've shipped the item, and it will prompt you to then input the tracking number and confirm it before you can complete the transaction having been shipped. So yes, they do. And that's what I do. I use Pirate Ship rather for all my shipping, and I'll just copy and paste the customer's information from Mercari into Pirate Ship, get my tracking number, and paste that back in. It's a fairly quick process. Again, another example, when we talked with David Lee from Mercari about on this show a few months ago, they don't offer integration with any of the third-party shipping platforms. They, of course, want to capture the shipping. They want you to use their labels because they're probably getting some money from that. So they don't offer that integration. Again, to make my life easier, it would be awesome if they did. So I could just import those orders directly over to Pirate Ship and have the tracking number automatically uploaded. Now, to be fair, doing 2 or 3 transactions a week, it's not a big deal to copy and paste. But if I was doing a bunch of volume, man, that would be super helpful. Mel flips it. I just withdrew money. It says it may take until Tuesday, but I also didn't pay $2. That's interesting. Again, I don't have enough money over there right now to even try to take money out. I took out money a couple of weeks ago and I did pay the fee, but that's interesting if that is already turned off. That would be cool. Paper Gold says most platforms are doing all the wrong things, all in an attempt to take a bigger piece of the pie from eBay and Amazon. Doesn't need to be as difficult as it has become. And that is exactly what I said. Liz, Value Added Resource, put a post on her site on Facebook about some changes that a site was making that were not working as they expected. And I made the comment, it feels like all of these platforms have spent the entirety of this year shooting themselves in the foot, making decisions and implementing new policies or new ways of doing things that have just made everybody's life more difficult. And I don't understand. I suppose maybe some of it comes from the fact that it's all tech-led rather than user-led or seller-led. All of the things seem to be based on things you could do with the technology or things that you think you could do financially that would be beneficial, that may look good on paper, but in the real world, alienate both buyers and sellers, and has led to stuff like this where companies have had to make changes and then retract them, undo them, offer credits. I mean, it has been a year for these platforms. And to be fair, most of them are really not crushing it. Other than Amazon, most of these platforms are reporting very, very modest, if any, growth quarter over quarter. So they're all, to their credit, they're trying to find some way to boost their revenue. Most of them, however, are doing it in ways that are harmful to their user community, either through things like this or the push for more advertising, more promoted listings. Something we'll be covering in next week's main episode. Poshmark is probably looking at adding more advertising to their mix as a way to increase their profits. eBay obviously has been notorious for that, with promoted listings standard, promoted listings priority, offsite ads, and on and on. They're rather than trying to grow, and maybe it's just impossible. I mean, the notion of perpetual growth probably is not realistic. But rather than to try to grow the business, the actual buying and selling of goods on the site, they're trying to squeeze ever more profit out of the same amount of sales. And there comes a point of diminishing returns where that just does not work anymore. Paper Gold says if they want more buyers and sellers, lower fees and compete in the market that way. Absolutely. And I said initially with the Mercari thing, lower the fee to 8 or 5 or whatever. You really want to attract people, make it up in volume. I'm not trying to sell all my wares for top dollar. You try to sell at a competitive price where you can flip the item and get out of it and move on to the next. And all of these platforms seem to be trying to maximize every single opportunity to make money. And again, for me, that just doesn't feel realistic. Carla Kopic, our little cafe was charging us for credit card fees. Is that legal? Again, when I had my business, that was actually, like I said, a violation of the credit card terms of service. You could not charge an additional fee to someone who wanted to use a credit card. That appears now to not be the case. I don't have a credit card account in that way. I don't do my own processing because all I do is sell on these sites. But the number of them that charge a different price, even gas stations, cash versus credit, I have to assume that that's no longer any kind of stipulation. Gretchen, yeah, I agree. Mercari needs to eat that processing fee. Yeah, that would be a nice bone to throw rather than have us pay it or the buyers pay it. Just make that part of their cost of doing business. We'll see. Big Dre, I wonder if resellers that join for the zero seller fees will stay now that they have fees for selling. And that will be really interesting. I don't know how many sellers they actually attracted with that. And again, there was the notion that they got more sellers and they got more merchandise, but they weren't necessarily generating more sales. So for my part, I would think some of them would at least stick it out for a while. It doesn't cost anything to list over there and just see what happens over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months and see if sales increase and if it's enough to offset the fees. Again, maybe you have to make some calculations about what you want to do with pricing because of it. But there's not been a tremendous amount of activity. So I don't know that it's necessarily a fair comparison. Obviously, some people I'm sure will bolt and head for the door. But if I was a new seller there, I would probably ride it out for a while just to see what happens. Mel Flips It says, oh, did everyone hit the thumbs up? Yes, please do that. If you didn't see my community post on YouTube yesterday or my post over on Instagram at Galaxy CDs Rocks, I did cross 200,000 views yesterday, which was a cool milestone. So I appreciate that. Everyone that's come out. If you're here and this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. I do a podcast pretty much every Monday morning, recapping the week's reselling news and kind of a what sold segment at the end. And then we try to do these lives pretty much every week. On Wednesday, programming note, Christmas Day and New Year's Day both fall on a Wednesday, so we probably won't be doing shows that week. We'll probably reconvene these after the first of the year, just so everyone is aware. KG's Unique, Rare, and Antique Books. Hello, good morning. Thank you for coming out. Gretchen, they should partner with Etsy. I would be totally good. Etsy has their own issues, and maybe there's some synergies there that they could help each other out. There are some things that Etsy does really well. There are some things that Mercari does really well. So that might be a marriage made in heaven, or maybe a total disaster for both of them. It's always hard to tell. Media Picker says it doesn't work properly. You're talking about the Mercari cross-listing tool. If you're trying to upload your entire eBay store, however, if you copy the URL for a few of the listings at a time, it will work that way. So again, if you're a small seller, you got 20 or 30 listings, maybe you can make this work. If you're a big seller, it's just not the way it's set up. It's just not efficient. And you would probably be better served to look at a program like List Perfectly or Vindu or one of the other programs that will allow you to do cross-listing. Another quick programming note. What do you think of this background? This will probably be a one-time appearance on this show. I got this for my science fiction shows on Whatnot. And as it turns out, because Whatnot is a vertical format, you only see like this little bit of it. So I thought I would show it off today. You can let me know in the comments what you think of my science fiction background. Christy says if they would rework their USPS shipping to be ground advantage like other platforms, I think more people would use their shipping, but I can't use it for anything over £1. Yeah, and their media mail rates are made up. They're all their own. They're all by and large higher than what you would pay if you were just shipping on your own. So I just bake the shipping cost, the estimated shipping cost into the price of my item and offer free shipping over there and then ship on Pirate Ship. I see the same complaints from sellers on Poshmark that the shipping label program, while it's easy to use, which is what it was designed to be, to limit the number of options, because you go into eBay and you start looking at shipping options, it can blow your mind. It can be really, really complicated. And with the initial goal of the site being the mom and pop, somebody trying to just get rid of a few items, making shipping super easy was important. And I understand that. But again, to the point we made earlier, I feel like the bulk of their sellers and the bulk of their transactions are coming from people who are not in that situation, that are either very active side hustlers or are full-time sellers, and having more and better shipping options would be useful, whether it's allowing integration with a third-party shipping site or having just traditional actual shipping costs rather than the narrow windows of labels that they have would be helpful for anybody that's trying to do this on anything like a big volume basis. Mary McQuain says, I think it would also help Mercari if they added ground advantage. Over £1, the only viable shipping options are now UPS or FedEx, and not everyone likes to use those. They're real big, if I remember right, on the UPS SurePost, which is kind of last mile delivery from the post office. I personally don't care for that service. They do offer it as a very cheap option, but I would rather not. I'm dealing with an issue right now on an item I bought that the original shipper shipped it through a similar program through DHL with last mile delivery from the post office, and it has been stuck at the post office for 9 days. Mary McQuain says, oh, Christy, oh my gosh, we were typing that at the same time. Great minds think alike. I can use a variety of shipping, including UPS and FedEx. Right. And again, like anything, to a point, having more options is better for us as sellers. You don't want to get overkill, but there are 3 primary shipping platforms here in the US. And there are, even within them, multiple ways to ship, from express, priority, ground, media rate, whatever it is. Having just a super narrow list of options for sellers, or for buyers for that matter, for shipping, it's almost 2025. It just doesn't make sense. Give us some options so we can choose what's best. Maybe I'm willing to pay extra to get it faster. Maybe I want it the cheapest way possible. Right now, you're really stuck with just whatever their option is. Big Gray, I'm actually locked out of my Mercari account right now due to a phone number issue, but I'm not sweating it as I've only been getting a sale or 2 a month. I went through a similar situation where their 2-factor authentication would not work because for some reason they had made an error on my phone number, even though I input it myself. They had a totally different phone number. So they were sending the 2FA code to this random number that was not me. And because I could not log in, because I could not get the 2FA, I could not fix the phone number problem. It was a mess for a while. And again, ultimately, I was able to get it resolved, but it was not a 24-hour/7 result. It required multiple days and multiple messages to get it fixed. Mary McQueen says, I use UPS labels for over a pound, but I still think the extra option would be helpful. Yeah, because again, in many cases, Ground Advantage is cheaper than UPS. So having those options available for both buyers and sellers who, again, want to take advantage of maybe they just prefer UPS, maybe they prefer FedEx, maybe they want it faster. There's the more options you can have within reason, the better it should be for everyone. Mel Flips It says, I have listings on Ground Advantage. Are you talking about on Mercari? I don't use their labels, so I haven't looked into what the options are lately. Christy says, at Mary McQueen, haha. Mary says, Mel Flips says, I should have clarified better. I can only use Ground Advantage with Mercari labels under a pound. There you go. A pound or under. Right. Because, and again, that's another one, USPS now has up to 15.9 ounces is one rate, and at a pound is different on Ground Advantage. So to add even more confusion, Rick asks when my next Whatnot show is. It is actually tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern. I've got 30 art books to go through tonight. Some of them are just big coffee table type art books with lots of great pictures and prints. Some of them are actual exhibition guide books from the 60s and 50s. So a real interesting mix, but everything on tonight's show at 7 o'clock is art related. There should be a link in the About section of this, or you can go to my Instagram. And in my link tree, I actually have both tonight and Friday night shows linked there so that you can get to them very quickly. Dendicor Depot says, okay, enough Mercari. How are things with your stores? We've been slamming. It has been fantastic. I'm glad yours is doing well. I still am hearing from a lot of people that business is really, really tough. I talked about in a post I put up last week, I just had my best ever November in 5 years of being a full-time reseller. I'm currently on track to have a record December. Knock wood, we're only, 11 days in. But it's been fantastic so far. I'm on pace to beat last year, which was my best year ever. So I don't have any complaints. I think if, as I said in that post last week, I think if you're doing the things you're meant to do as a seller, if you're getting the listings posted and they're good quality listings and you're finding other opportunities, other platforms to sell on, other ways to sell, whether it's Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, Posh, wherever, if you continue to expand your opportunities, good things will happen for your business. But if you're just listing a handful of things, I said on this show a couple of weeks ago, the odds of selling any one particular book are probably not very high. But when you have hundreds or thousands of them, the odds of selling a book every day or multiple times a day get to be pretty good. So I think a lot, especially new sellers, I see this all the time in the Facebook groups. They're like, I've got 20 things listed and I'm not selling anything. Well, what do I do? List more stuff. Every item you list is not going to, nobody has a 100% sell-through rate on most of these platforms. It takes a certain amount of inventory to start attracting business. And you're kind of behind the 8 ball already as a new seller because a lot of folks don't trust sellers with no feedback. So you really, it takes some work. The days of just throwing a listing up on eBay and expecting to sell it for max profit, unfortunately, are long behind us. Dendicor Depot says, Etsy has been very good. eBay is about what it should be. Depop continues to surprise. Mercari, not as good as the others, but still 1 to 2 per day. Yeah, and again, that proves the point. You've got multiple irons in the fire. You've got more opportunities with additional platforms to get a different kind of buyer to see your item. And a buyer that might buy it on Etsy might never go to eBay. or vice versa. So having those things where they make sense on multiple platforms is absolutely, for me, a ticket to success. Mary McQueen says, my main platform has been Mercari for years. Posh may have surpassed them, though. I don't sell on eBay anymore, so I really want them to succeed. Absolutely. I know a lot of people have, because of various changes and reasons, have just left eBay altogether. Again, I've seen several sellers over the last couple of days as we approach kind of the end of the year. What are your plans for next year? I know Colorado Reworn, who was on this show a couple of months ago, posted on Instagram. She has looked at her profit by platform and has made decisions on which platforms are going to get her attention come 2025. Mercari was about 4.2%, I think she said, of her profit, and she is going to leave that on the table and invest that time elsewhere. Those are decisions we need to make as businesses. She inspired me to look at mine. And I'm in the same boat. Mercari is about 4.6% of my sales for this year, but it's still thousands of dollars. And for me, I'm even though it's a low percentage for 4.6, whatever, I'm not willing to leave thousands of dollars of potential money on the table. So as long as Mercari continues to generate that level of revenue for me, even though it's a relatively small piece of the pie, I will continue to try to make that thing work. Gretchen said this happened to me too, soon with technical issues. Had to get on the website, not phone, and send codes, but wouldn't get a bar to type the code. Yeah, it was, it can be awful. And again, my experience was I could not get live tech support. It was all eventually through messages. Yes, on Mercari, I have listings on Ground Advantage over £1, Mel, or just under. That seems to be the question. Had to go on Mercari website and disable two-step authentication because when they were sending the code to my phone, the bar on the app wouldn't show up to type in the code. Yep, I think that's ultimately what we ended up having to do as well. Just turned it off. Then I was able to switch it to email. Then I was able to get the code. Then I was able to get it. Then I was able to go in and change my phone number, which may help explain why some pirate ship users were not pleased when they announced that they were going to two-factor authentication last week. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate the security that it brings, but when it goes wrong, it goes really, really wrong. Mel Flipset says, got it, Mary. Okay, that may answer that question. What do you promote at? I'm wondering if I should wait to start promoting till January. Haven't promoted at all on Mercari. Are you talking about promoting on eBay or just overall, Mel? I promote all of my listings on eBay through the promoted listings, whatever it is now, general or standard campaign. Right now I'm at 7%. I rarely promote on Mercari. I will occasionally send out offers, but my take rate on offers on Mercari is essentially 0%. I have never sent out an offer on Mercari and gotten a buyer. I know people are, and the program is fine. I'm not knocking the program, but my personal experience is I get tons of people that like my items, and I send out those offers, and it just doesn't do anything. To be fair, I get the same kind of thing even on eBay. I probably send anywhere from 30 to 50 offers a day on eBay. And I know a lot of those folks are probably other sellers who just happen to be doing comps and comped my item and pulled it up, and that generated the prompt for me to send an offer. But I send them out and I get well less than 10% take rate on offers. So speaking of promoted listings on eBay, I've talked about this before, but I looked at it again yesterday just to kind of see what the current number is. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was 62.8% of my total transactions on eBay right now are coming from promoted listings. So it is a huge, huge chunk. When I initially did the video way back, this has been a couple of years ago now, on starting the promoted listings campaign, my best guess is that maybe as much as half of those sales would have happened organically. I know you're probably cannibalizing your own sales because eBay is pushing that promoted link in people's face, so it's more likely to get clicked. So that number is probably inflated realistically, but I've still firmly believe that I'm doing an extra maybe 35% of business on eBay because of promoted listings, which makes it, again, for me, very much worth that 7% fee. Media Picker says eBay has been solid here, still up over 30% compared to this time last year. That's awesome. My number is not anywhere near 30. I'm up, but it's more like 5 on eBay. My overall number is probably close to 10, but I've kind of reached that plateau with the amount of listings that I've got and the number that I sell. I don't think I'm going to have this like double digit growth year over year because I just physically can't list more than I already do unless I hire somebody, which I'm not interested in doing. Den Decor Depot says to Mel, flips it, dynamic promoted, capped at 15. It's gross, but it has me in top 20 in searches and it's working. I know you mentioned a couple of weeks ago you were doing, weren't you doing dynamic with no cap for a while? I'm doing dynamic with a 7% cap, and eBay is telling me to go to 8 every day. No, on Mercari, what do you do to promote on Mercari? I send out just the base 10% offers. I don't do any like bulk promotions on Mercari because the sales and transaction volume and what I got to go through to do offers over there, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze for me. So I will send occasional offers out if I see something particularly interesting. But by and large, I just let those listings run. Den Decor Depot says, I've gotten kicked out of most Facebook reseller groups. The truth hurts people's feelings. It can indeed. Cameron D, hello. All things being equal, success is a numbers game. It absolutely. More merchandise, more platforms, more listings. And again, the quality of those listings matters. You got to be competitive on price. You can't just try to, as they used to say in the car business, rip everybody's head off every time somebody looks at your item. You've got to be fair and competitive and understand the value of your item in the marketplace. I listed a book earlier today where I've got one that is in super nice condition and the only other one listed is pretty rough. Am I asking a little bit of a premium on that? I absolutely am. But if I was in the reverse situation and saw one for $19.99 and decided that mine was not as nice as that, I wouldn't be trying to price it at $19.99. I try to price to the condition in the market so that I've got an opportunity, what I feel like at least is a good opportunity to actually make a sale. Den Decor Depot says, I send 10% offers on Mercari. If a reasonable counter hits, I will take it. There you go. Record Crate, happy Wednesday. Hello, thanks for stopping by. Mel Flips It says, I do send 10% offers, but I thought I might try promoting items that cost me $0. Yeah, that's absolutely worth a shot. And, at $0 cost of goods sold, if you do a 10 or 15% off offering, what's the harm? You've got no cost of goods sold in it. So that's a perfect opportunity to try to flip something. Mel adds, I haven't gotten a buyer from offers either. So yeah, it's one of those tools. It makes sense to have. You occasionally, again, over on eBay, I might get a couple a day from, doing the bulk send offers thing. I talk about it in my What Sold recaps. Pretty much every week, I've got at least 1 or 2 items that I did sell through sending out an offer, but that has not been the case on Mercari for me. Mary McQueen says, I feel like likes on Mercari are like Instagram likes. They literally just like the item. There is a little bit of that, I think, where on eBay, it's a lot more clear. If there's a watcher on an item, that to me indicates maybe a little bit more interest than just a like. Maybe Mercari needs to consider changing the terminology in some way to switch it so that it's more apparent that it's an item that someone is interested in rather than something they just think is cool. I don't know, but yeah, that's my experience too. It seems to be much more about liking a particular item, like legitimately thinking it's a cool piece rather than, this is on my list, I might want to buy this. Where on eBay, at least, it seems a little bit more likely that it's a buyer. Mel Flips It, offers on Mercari, but eBay, I do get offers accepted. Yep. And I get a ton of offers on eBay as well, most of which I will accept. Cameron D says, because they're fishing for a ridiculously low offer, there is a lot of that. You see people all the time talking about low ball offers and all that kind of stuff. I saw somebody yesterday was posting, it's like a $50 item. They sent out an offer of $40, which is a more than fair discount to my way of thinking. And they got a counter offer of $5. Block. Is that too harsh? Mary McQueen says at Dendagore Depot, laugh out loud about the truth. Yeah, truth hurts. I put a cap on the dynamic because I had a few got too close to 20%. Average is 11.7 as I'm tracking it. So yeah, that's still an interesting. We talked about that when you were here on the show and talked about that you were doing a bigger percentage. I had tried 8, and 8 didn't do anything more for me than 7. I wonder if 9 or 10 might. That might be something I try after the first of the year, maybe in a couple of categories, just to see if I get any kind of a bump. Because 7 seems to me, when I went from 5 to 7, I noticed a nice increase in not only like traffic to those listings, but in sales. But again, when I went from 7 to 8, which is what eBay recommends to me, like I said, every day, nothing. There was no increase whatsoever for me. Big Dre says, if Mercari and Etsy joined forces, that would be the perfect storm and they would collapse on themselves like a dying star. It could very well be. Again, Etsy has their own set of issues. They have kind of lost their way a little bit with the amount of like print on demand and knockoff stuff. And I know they're trying to cut back on that and really get refocused on true vintage and handmade goods. But the horse has already left the barn, I feel like, over there, and it's a real problem for them. Cameron D, auto offer guarantees that you won't get a full price sale. Absolutely. eBay is constantly recommending that I just turn on automatic offers, and I'm not willing to do that because there are some items, a newly listed piece that I might not want to make an offer on. So I don't want any kind of automatic. I don't like a lot of stuff that's automated. I like to have a little bit of control over what I'm doing. I love integrations. I love being able to do things in bulk, bulk listings, bulk cross listings, bulk price changes, bulk changes to shipping policies or whatever. The ability through the technology to make massive changes to a lot of things all at the same time, very cool. The ability to automate how much money I lose on an item, for me, no bueno, not interested. Christy says, I'm only 2 weeks in on Mercari. My first sale came from an offer, but that's the only offer that came through for me. I only have a small time period to look at though. Yep. And I do, like I said, I just had one a couple of days ago. Somebody made me an offer on a book. I was at like $13. They offered me 10. I went ahead and took that deal because I know, they're looking at a $13 book that's probably got $2 or $3 in fees with the way it's set up right now. So that to me was a fair offer, and I went ahead and accepted it. I probably get a couple of those a month. I wish it was more. I would probably entertain more, but books is just not a big category for Mercari, at least not yet. Mel flips at Cameron. Why do you say auto offer guarantees you won't get a full price sale? I use auto posture to send out offers, so unsure what you are talking about. So anytime somebody, let's say I have an item listed at whatever, $20, and I've got it set up to automatically send out an offer. Anytime somebody qualifies, and this would be on eBay, to receive an offer. Right now, they just show up in my list as eligible to be sent an offer, and I can decide whether or not I want to give 10, 15, 20% off on that item. But if you have it set up to automatically send offers, pretty much every time somebody looks at something, it's going to send them an offer. Which of course, if they're really interested in it, they'll accept. Now, maybe you make a sale that you wouldn't have made otherwise. So there's that argument as well. But I still, for my part, like having the control of deciding, I see this person is looking at this brand new item I just listed. I don't want to send out my normal 15% off offer on this. It's brand new. I just put it up 2 hours ago. I might send them 10%, or I might let it sit there for a couple of days and see if they decide. In a lot of cases, I have the only one of something. I'm going to try to get full price out of it before I'm willing to discount it. And if you've got automatic offers set up, that eliminates in a lot of cases that opportunity. Mary McQueen says, Kirsty, good luck with it. Definitely get offers. It's just when I send them, they don't convert as often. I hope it works out well for you. Absolutely. I feel that way for everybody who is, whether you've been on a site for a long time or you're just new and getting started in this game we call reselling. I hope everybody's having a good holiday season. It has been, as we talked about a few minutes ago, for me, it has been fantastic. No complaints. Again, record November, on that pace again for December. So very, very pleased with how that is going. Den Decor Depot says, got to get back to work. Thanks again. Love to see a live discussing your lot pricing philosophy and negotiation at purchase next year on a live. We will do that. I know I've talked about kind of the negotiation and how I evaluate a lot, but we'll take a deeper dive into that in a show after the first of the year. We are, Den Decor Depot knows that I like to keep these at an hour because that was about spot on the 1 hour mark. Well done, sir. If anybody has anything else they would like to discuss before we call it a day here, let me know in the chat. I'm going to take a quick drink because I've been talking nonstop for an hour. As always, of course, I appreciate everybody who came out today and spent a little bit of time with us. Always good to see all of you. Cameron D, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming by. Time management, absolutely. Have a great day. Christy, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Rick, thank you very much. And Mary, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you all for coming out today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate when you folks stop by, and whether you're listening and just listening in the background or you participate in the chat, it means the world to me that you guys come out here and listen to my ramblings once or twice a week. With that, my friends, I hope everybody has I think there's one more in here, maybe. Yes, Record Crate. Bye-bye. Good to see you. On that note, it's time to sell. Thanks, guys.